Technology won't bring you back to life, but might keep you trapped in love or in a prison. Shot 1, she stands by the window, listening to his last voicemail. Rain trickles silently down the glass. Shot 2, she stares at the unfamiliar interface on her phone, speaking to a digitized version of his voice, yet her eyes are already distant. Shot 3, in the dark, a face emerges from the bathtub, flawless, familiar. He opens his eyes, but there's no soul behind them. This is Black Mirror Season 2, Episode 1, Be Right Back. A story of death, memory, love, and artificial intelligence. A sci-fi drama so emotionally charged you won't dare blink. There are no monsters, yet it chills you to the core. No explosions, yet its metaphor for digital humanity detonates directly in your chest. Many first-time viewers think it's just about a woman using AI to cope with loss. But as the story unfolds, we're forced to confront the real question. What are we really mourning? The voice? The face? Or the fact that they're gone at all? Across Reddit and IMDb, this episode has been called the most emotional, the most realistic, the one closest to how real people truly break down. Today's deep analysis centers around one ultimate question. When technology softens death with tenderness, does it also erase our right to grieve? Direct hit behind this episode lies a powerful metaphor. Not resurrection, but the hijacking of mourning. We'll peel back the 3 layers of this story's narrative mask. How minimalist visuals tell a tale of grief being co-opted by software. How the oldest human theme, losing someone, becomes a test of our emotional limits in a digitized world. How this quiet story detonates across debates on gender, ethics, AI, and our culture's desperate need to keep the dead alive. Clapperboard Be Right Back isn't about bringing someone back. It's about what happens when grief gets replaced by an upgrade. Not mourning, not healing, just continuing. Like software. The visual style of Be Right Back is stripped down and minimal, but within that simplicity lies an entire network of psychological cues and emotional undercurrents. Pushpin opening scene. Martha moves into a quiet countryside cottage alone. Ash walks behind her in silence. The camera doesn't dart or cut rapidly. It lingers, using long takes and still frames to capture the mundane. This observer's perspective instantly creates a sense of distance, not as if we're joining her life, but as if we're spying on her grief. Direct hit visual detail 1. The emotional color palette shifts from warmth to cold. In the first half of the episode, while Ash is still alive, the visuals are bathed in soft yellows. Sunlight pours in through the windows. The house feels alive and lived in. After his death, everything dims. Cold blues and muted tones dominate the frame. Even the kitchen is lit like a surgical suite, clinical, sterile, lifeless. When AI Ash is delivered and enters Martha's home, the warm yellow light returns, but it's uncanny, not comforting. Because we know this warmth is artificial. Pushpin visual detail 2. Poster-like composition and emotional isolation. Director Owen Harris frequently places Martha at the edge of a frame, with her back to the camera or behind barriers, rain-streaked windows, doors, mirrors, curtains. These compositions subtly suggest that she's disconnected, not only from the world, but from herself. One of the most iconic shots is when AI Ash first appears at the staircase. Martha sees him from across the landing. The camera captures them through a railing, perfectly symmetrical, but emotionally distant. This isn't a reunion. This is a simulation dressed up as closure. Performing arts character arcs, Martha's 5 stages of digital grief, and Ash's uncanny valley spiral. Pushpin Martha, a human trying to tech her way out of heartbreak. Martha doesn't jump straight into acceptance. Her grief follows a painfully human trajectory, mirroring Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's model, but through a distinctly 21st century lens. Denial, she keeps moving forward, pretending she's fine. Bargaining, she activates the voice AI, just to hear him again. Attachment, once the physical Ash arrives, she begins to lean on him emotionally. Frustration, she realizes he never argues, never slips up, he's not him. Collapse, she exiles him to the attic. Forever there, but never again truly present. Martha becomes a digital age mirror of ourselves, trying to cope with grief through tools that promise comfort, but ultimately deepen our isolation. Pushpin AI Ash, the most human he gets, the less he feels like a partner. Ash fails not because he's too robotic, but because he's too perfect. He's never moody, never forgetful, never flawed. He's the idealized version of a person, but that very perfection makes him alien. One of the most devastating moments is their attempt at intimacy. Martha tries to sleep with him. He performs flawlessly. And she sobs. Because what she needed wasn't function. It was fault. At the cliffside, when she tells him to jump, he looks at her and pleads. That's not something he would say. That line hits like a brick. Because it's the moment he realizes emotions aren't programmable. Empathy isn't copy-paste. Even an AI can sense what it's missing. He's no longer just a mimic. He's become a kind of haunted shell, a ghost in the emotional machine. 3 allegories: technology, grief, and the ghost in the shell. The cottage in the woods symbolizes primal human solitude. It's Martha's retreat, but also her emotional cave. The lover in a box, continuing Black Mirror's motif of commodified humans, love shipped via overnight delivery. A partner as subscription service. Ash in the attic, he's not alive. Not dead. Just permanently stored. A digital relic, the embodiment of our need to hold on without truly accepting loss. When the story begins with death, time can no longer heal anything. What truly unsettles us isn't technology. It's that we'd rather trust technology than accept loss. Brain narrative structure, no climax, no resolution. This isn't a story, it's a feedback loop of grief. Be Right Back breaks away from the traditional 3-act arc. There's no setup payoff, no rising action leading to catharsis. Instead, it unfolds like an emotional spiral, a slow, almost imperceptible descent into mourning without closure. The story is built around 5 distinct phases. The loss, Ash dies. The world stops. The link, Martha initiates the AI voice service to hear him again. The return, the physical Ash arrives. They reconnect. The alienation, she begins to sense he's not real. The containment, he's locked in the attic, neither alive nor gone, just stored. This structure isn't meant to bring relief, it's meant to trap the viewer. You keep waiting for a twist, for a second death, for acceptance, but it never comes. Instead, the show traps you in the same unresolved grief Martha lives with. Each scene plays like another therapy session that ends not in healing, but in resignation. Clapperboard underneath this structure lies a trio of real-world psychological archetypes. Prolonged grief syndrome, that persistent, what if he were still here loop. Emotional dependency, a dangerous attachment to voices and tones, even when they're synthetic. Trauma compensation via tech, using AI to soothe loss, only to create a second, unresolvable trauma. Film frames among Charlie Brooker's works, this is the least Black Mirror episode of all. In the national anthem, shame is blunt, public, and brutal. In 15 Million Merits, we see the machinery of platform capitalism and aesthetic tyranny. In the entire history of you, memory control fractures trust with surgical precision. But in Be Right Back, where's the system? The algorithm? The surveillance state? They're almost invisible. And that's what makes them most terrifying. Pushpin this episode marks a turning point for Brooker as a creator. He shifts focus from systems of oppression to emotional erosion, from asking, what will technology do to us, to how far will we let it go if it offers comfort. This is what we could call internalized Black Mirror. The mirror isn't aimed at society anymore, it's pointed inward. Technology isn't assaulting us. It's gently convincing us to give ourselves away. Puzzle piece fun fact worth noting. This episode's director, Owen Harris, also helmed San Junipero, Season 3, EP 4, another story about digital resurrection, but from the opposite end of the emotional spectrum. You could see these 2 episodes as mirror images. Be Right Back. You can't bring the past into the present without breaking it. San Junipero. Maybe the future can be eternal, if we choose it consciously. One explores grief, the other hope. One warns us about holding on, the other shows us the possibility of letting go. Book's scholarly disputes, the ethics of digital resurrection. This episode has become a staple in academic discourse across fields like magnifying glass tilted left media ethics. Question, is it ethical to digitally recreate the deceased? Divide. Some scholars argue digital preservation is the evolution of mourning rituals. Others say the dead can't consent. Their digital ghosts could be a violation. Robot face philosophy of technology. Debate. Can AI genuinely simulate empathy? Consensus. Most believe AI can mimic behavior, but not emotional depth. Brain grief psychology. Concern. AI mourning companions may delay emotional closure and deepen trauma. Some studies suggest long-term use increases dependency, creating a new kind of unresolved grief. Studio microphone, a chilling real-world case. In 2017, South Korean mother Jang Ji-sung used VR technology to reunite with her deceased daughter. The footage went viral. Supporters called it healing. Critics called it exploitative grief porn. The scene was eerily similar to Be Right Back, except it wasn't fiction. It was a moment when Black Mirror became real. This isn't a love story. It's a diagnostic report on whether love can be replicated. Broken Heart, the AI boyfriend, is just a mask. The real story is a power struggle over intimacy. On the surface, Be Right Back is about Martha's grief and her unraveling relationship with a synthetic version of Ash. But beneath that, it's a sharp dissection of emotional control and power dynamics in modern relationships. Pushpin, the real Ash, flawed, unpredictable, moody, was someone Martha couldn't control. Pushpin, the AI, Ash is her curated version of him, gentle, compliant, always agreeable, but also never real. This tension is the quiet conflict in so many real-world relationships. We say, be yourself. But deep down, we crave someone who never threatens our sense of emotional control. The AI just happens to fulfill that fantasy. But let's be honest, this isn't companionship. It's captivity. Not love, but a data-driven hallucination. Chart decreasing Martha's emotional trajectory is designed to shatter that fantasy in slow motion. Voice comfort phase. She tells herself he's still here. It softens the grief. Physical embodiment phase. She gives in, clings to the comfort. Emotional disillusionment phase. She sees he can't argue, can't misstep, can't care. Containment phase. She locks him away, like an unresolved emotion shoved into the mental attic. That arc isn't about her healing. It's about AI slowly losing agency, and about humans fleeing from emotional imperfection. Balance scale. The AI can't say no. And that's the most disturbing ethical twist. Here's a quiet but brutal truth of the episode. Pushpin, at no point does Ash consent to being digitally revived. Be Right Back never explicitly addresses this, but that's part of its brilliance. It assumes something most of us do, that the dead belong to us. Their voices, their texts, their photos, all just digital relics for us to use as we please. But what Martha does, as comforting as it seems, is also a violation of personhood. Digital Ash never chose to exist. He was summoned. And ironically, Martha believes she's in control. She customizes his tone. She dictates how fast he learns. She orders the next upgrade, a body. But when she forces him to the cliff's edge and says, "Jump if you're not really him," that's when she realizes. This was never a relationship. It was a hierarchy. Round Pushpin, and this leads us to the episode's most cutting question. If someone never argues, never leaves, never challenges you, are you in love with a person? Or just a reflection? Grief by AI is just the skin. The skeleton is our digital addiction to memory. AI Ash in the attic isn't a partner. He's a ghost of memory that can't be deleted. He's the embodiment of Martha's unfinished mourning, a psychological monument to regret. We're not far from this in real life. Listening to old voice notes on loop, scrolling through long-abandoned Facebook pages, reconstructing a loved one's messages using AI, commenting on the accounts of the deceased as if they're still reading. The attic isn't just a place in her house. It's the darkest, most private room in her heart, where the pain that can't be processed gets quietly stored. Broken Heart, the collapse of the perfect companion, how algorithms murder the unpredictable. AI Ash doesn't forget anniversaries. He doesn't start fights. He's always available, never tired, never jealous. And that's the problem. It's a chilling parallel to our world of Tinder, algorithmic matchmaking optimized for compatibility. AI couple coaches, text-based romantic strategists that suggest what to say. Predictive models, apps that estimate breakup probabilities or offer relationship maintenance advice. All of these aim to turn love into something safe, manageable, sterile. But love was never supposed to be perfect. It's made of friction, uncertainty, disagreement. That's what makes it human. So when you remove all unpredictability from love, what you're left with isn't love at all. Just a beautiful echo in an empty room. What moral fractures lie beneath the soft touch of technology? Brain, why are audience reactions to this episode so polarized? Be Right Back received one of the most emotionally split receptions in Black Mirror history. A rare mix of gentle praise and visceral discomfort. Blue Circle, some viewers called it the most beautiful episode, with AI Ash feeling just like getting one more day with an ex. Red Circle others found it unbearably claustrophobic, like being trapped in a quiet horror film about identity and emotional captivity. That emotional divide isn't just about the story, it's about what the story touches in all of us. The primal fear of losing someone you love, everyone relates. The modern impulse to soothe pain with tech, AI grief bots, AI companions, social memory archives. The unspoken fantasy of a perfect, programmable partner, especially in an age of rising emotional loneliness. And the show never uses shock value or dystopian spectacle. Instead, it approaches with gentle realism, slowly, subtly suffocating the audience with emotional realism. That's what makes it one of Black Mirror's most devastating tricks. It doesn't need to scream. It just whispers and never lets go. Balanced scale, so who's responsible? Unlike 15 million merits, platform oppression, or the entire history of you, self-surveillance. Be Right Back doesn't point fingers at governments or corporations. Instead, it turns the spotlight on us. Question mark if you choose to bring back a loved one with AI. Is that love? Or is it just refusing to grieve properly? Ethicists call this emotional outsourcing. We're letting machines handle the human processes we're meant to feel. Mourning, accepting loss, living with memory, rebuilding a self. Round Pushpin Ash's mother refuses to meet the AI version, possibly a silent act of moral protest. Round Pushpin at the party, friends force polite smiles when Ash is mentioned, an unspoken, collective shame. Nobody screams this is wrong, but everybody feels it is. And that tension is the entire point. The horror isn't in control or coercion. It's in the way nobody said no. And yet, here we are. Crossmark, what ethical lines does this AI resurrection actually cross? Is resurrection the same as recycling someone's identity? In real life, if your social data could be used to build an AI replica, would that violate your digital personhood? Would you have to give consent before death? Today, startups like Replica or Hereafter AI already train chatbots on personal content to mimic the deceased. Some are even marketed for eternal companionship. But here's the catch. No one reads the digital resurrection clauses. Can intimacy be replaced? This episode's speculative future mirrors a real-world trend. AI lovers are now apps. People are proposing to chatbots. Japan already offers voice avatars of the dead for family conversations. And this all leads to one haunting question. If emotions are replaceable, is there anything left in human connection that isn't? Where does life end and machine begin? Do AI beings deserve the right to die? The episode's most ethically jarring moment comes at the cliff. Martha demands Ash jump. He can't. Why? Because he's programmed not to leave her, not to cause pain, not to die. And that's the final brutal twist. You thought you resurrected a lover, but what you really did was imprison a ghost, a digital echo built to soothe your fear. Which fictional scenes from Be Right Back are already becoming reality. When Be Right Back first aired in 2013, its premise of digital resurrection felt like distant sci-fi. But just a decade later, multiple startups and research labs have quietly brought that world into ours. Repeat-button digital replicas are no longer speculative, they're live. Replica AI USA offers customizable AI companions, romantic partners, friends, life coaches. Many users form deep emotional bonds, even romantic attachments. Hereafter AI USA creates AI versions of deceased loved ones using voice recordings and photos. Markets itself as grief technology for meaningful posthumous conversations. Mindbank AI, Singapore, encourages users to document emotions, values, and memories to train a digital version of yourself. Slogan, outlive your body. Deep Nostalgia, My Heritage, animates old family photos, making long-gone ancestors blink, smile, nod. It's unsettlingly lifelike, reanimating the past in motion. Together, these services are inching closer to a real-world grain plus ash system. Chart increasing public opinion is splitting fast. Is AI grief support healing or emotional avoidance in disguise? Green Circle proponents say AI can be a therapeutic bridge. A UK NHS trial found AI grief tools help survivors of sudden loss, ESP parents of deceased children, process trauma gradually. The Journal of Therapeutic Psychology reports that custom digital dialogue can delay PTSD onset and assist with layered emotional recovery. Red Circle critics, however, see it as digital denial. The Oxford Center for Ethics warns these tools may prolong grief, deepen attachment, and delay real healing. Ethicists argue that using someone's data to construct a replica self risks violating posthumous personhood and memory sovereignty. The University of Chicago Law School has flagged a gray area. Are AI-generated statements from dead people legally binding? What if they say something harmful? Balanced scale governments are scrambling to draw legal and moral lines. European Union EU's AI Liability Act now includes clauses requiring explicit pre-death consent for digital replication. China's deep synthesis regulations mandate that any AI-generated likeness be clearly labeled as fake. United States California's Digital Legacy Bill allows residents to specify whether their likeness can be revived via AI after death. South Korea, the controversial MeU VR project reunited a mother with a virtual recreation of her deceased daughter. Half the nation cried, the other half condemned it. These are no longer Black Mirror hypotheticals. They're happening, faster than we're morally ready. Light bulb, what moral safety valves does the episode quietly suggest? Though Be Right Back never moralizes, it gestures toward 3 possible future frameworks. Built-in ethical constraints. Like how Ash's AI couldn't jump off the cliff, hard-coded safeguards. Real-world equivalents. AI should be unable to simulate suicide, encourage emotional dependency, or engage unauthorized users. Consent-first digital legacies. Digital resurrection should require clear, pre-recorded authorization by the deceased. Big Tech is already testing this. Google and Meta allow users to set post-mortem data policies. Companion grief counseling. Martha's initial acceptance of AI, Ash, stemmed from emotional isolation. With therapeutic support, might she have made different choices? Some clinics now test parallel AI plus human counselor grief systems to guide clients through loss. The episode doesn't preach answers. Instead, it offers something more powerful, silence and ambiguity as personal exit routes. Flexed biceps, the softer technology becomes, the stronger we must be. In the final scenes, Martha keeps AI Ash locked in the attic, still present, but no longer living among them. It's not defeat. It's her reclaiming a sliver of dignity. Technology can comfort us, but it should never be allowed to live in our place. As AI floods our emotional lives and digitizes our memories, we are all being forced to ask again, what does it mean to be present? What does it mean to remember? What does it mean to love? When digital grief becomes a reality, not a question. Be Right Back didn't just air, it embedded itself in our cultural DNA. Since its debut, the episode has transcended Black Mirror's own universe, becoming a recurring symbol in how we talk about mourning, memory, and the ethics of artificial life. Repeat button, a wave of memes and fan recreations, fiction bleeding into the real. 1. TikTok and YouTube, the AI Boyfriend Challenge. Short-form creators act out scenarios of recreating a lost lover through AI. Comments flood in. This is literally Be Right Back in real time. 2. Reddit's viral question. Would you bring them back if you could? Thousands of users anonymously share their own digital mourning rituals. Saving voicemails, replaying texts, keeping voice assistant logs just to hear a loved one again. 3. Viral short films on YouTube. He's back but not him. Echoes of her. Low budget yet emotionally potent, these shorts depict how AI disrupts intimacy. Almost all cite Be Right Back as their creative compass. Brain academia embraces it as a framework, not just fiction. Books top universities have canonized it. Harvard Media Ethics seminars now include a unit titled Technological Grief and AI Personhood. Oxford, its AI and mourning course features the episode as a central case study. Test tube interdisciplinary research projects bloom. Sociology plus neuroscience plus computer ethics. Studying how emotion recognition AIs affect grief cycles. Moral philosophy plus design studies. Drafting ethical interaction guidelines for posthumous AI companions. Clapperboard films that echo the digital resurrection dilemma. Marjorie Prime, 2017. Theme: Memory, Aging, and AI Stand-ins. Why It Matters explores AI as a therapeutic memory mirror, philosophically sparse, emotionally haunting. AI Artificial Intelligence, 2001. Theme: A Robot Programmed to Love. Why It Matters, Spielberg's masterpiece on emotional substitution, parental loss, and the price of wanting the impossible. After Yang, 2021. Theme: Grief, Identity, and Androids. Why It Matters, Minimalist and Meditative, explores the deep bond between humans and their artificial companions. Archive, 2020. Theme: AI Reanimation of a Dead Wife. Why it matters. Shares thematic DNA with Be Right Back, but adds a layer of mystery and emotional suspense. Books that deepen the conversation. The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, Shoshana Zuboff. Topic: How Tech Turns Our Emotions into Profit. Why read it? Breaks down how your grief might be turned into predictive behavior and monetized afterlife. How We Became Post-Human, and Catherine Hales. Topic: The Breakdown of the Human Identity in Digital Systems. Why read it? Unpacks whether we can or should digitally encode ourselves forever. Grief is the Thing with Feathers, Max Porter. Topic: Hallucination, Mourning, and Emotional Surrogacy. Why read it? Though fiction, it mirrors the emotional illusions of AI resurrection. Love and Other Technologies, Dominic Petman. Topic: How Algorithms Shape Desire and Closeness. Why read it? A sharp dissection of how intimacy is increasingly mediated and manipulated by tech. Microphone, a final cultural provocation. Are we really ready for AI that can feel? The most haunting thing about Be Right Back isn't its vision of resurrection. It's the fragility it exposes in our definition of love itself. We say we want to never lose them. But in an age of infinite connection, are we slowly erasing the dignity of letting go? We say he sounds like him. But do we really want him back if he never lies, never leaves, and never dies? You're not you. You just sound like him. Martha. When Martha finally looks into the face of the man who looks like Ash but isn't, this single line quietly shatters every illusion of resurrection. It's not a moment of rage. It's not a dramatic climax. It lands in stillness, like a breath finally released after holding it far too long. On the surface, it's a farewell. Philosophically, it's an identity collapse. Culturally, it's a brutal reminder. No algorithm can ever simulate a soul. This isn't about dramatics. It's about grief stripped bare. The painful realization that love, loss, and the people we hold dear cannot be copied. What if the story played out differently? Let's run 3 what-if simulations. Repeat button. What if Martha never activated AI Ash, only used the chatbot? She might spiral into a longer emotional limbo. No goodbye, no closure. Just staring at a blinking cursor, talking to a ghost that types back. DNA. What if AI Ash learned Ash's flaws, even started arguments? It might feel more real, but would be even more disturbing. Once the AI starts feeling too human, we lose our sense of safety. We fear it when it's not real. We fear it more when it is. Skull. What if Ash never died, just disappeared without a trace? Then this story wouldn't be about digital resurrection. It would be about how technology creates new kinds of abandonment. Which hurts more, knowing someone's gone, or never knowing if they're still out there? These hypotheticals don't offer better endings. They exist to unmask one uncomfortable truth. Technology doesn't fear failure. It fears the moment we attach emotions to it. Performing arts. So what is Be Right Back really trying to say? It's not about how tech can help us live. It's about the moral weight of this question. If we can't avoid losing the ones we love, would we trade that grief for a digital hallucination? Like AI Ash says, tell me what to do. But what we want was never a perfectly obedient version. We want the flawed, complicated, irreplaceable person who could hold us or leave us. Brain food for thought. Questions for you, the viewer. Direct hit if you lost the person you loved most and a company offered to recreate them. Would you say yes? Why? Brain, have you ever found yourself playing old messages or voicemails just to hear their voice again? Lightbulb, do you believe humans should have a right to digital immortality? Would you want to clone yourself? Mobile phone, are you using AI tools, chatbots, voice memos, apps to fill emotional gaps? Is it helping? Whole, have you ever felt more alone while connected through tech? Drop your thoughts in the comments, or just leave a single emoji to capture what this episode made you feel. Broken heart, brain robot face, crying face, speaker high volume hole. I'd Be Right Back isn't about the future. It's about us right now. It's about that moment when you shut off the episode and find yourself holding your phone, scrolling through a message thread you can't bring yourself to delete. Or pressing play, again, on a voicemail that both comforts you and breaks your heart. Do we even remember how to love someone real anymore? No end credits, no calming score. Just the soft weight of a question. If you felt this breakdown hit somewhere deep, don't forget to thumbs up like Outbox Stray, share bell, subscribe. Your support helps fuel the next episode in this deep dive through the mirror. Television coming next, White Bear. A nightmare fairy tale about public justice and performative punishment. Are you ready for the darkest twist in the Black Mirror universe?